Good morning, everyone. The 2021 NBA season, Grizzlies season, is here. I'm Michael Wallace with Grind City Media, and welcome to our Grizzlies, grindcitymedia.com Grizzlies Media Day Live. We got a lot of fun stuff to get to. I'm joined by Pete Pranica, Grizzlies play-by-play television man, longtime veteran, who's been in the game for a long time, knows all the storylines coming into this season.
I'm looking forward. Old, huh?
Yeah, hey, listen, that's just the way it is. And obviously, to my left, my far left, Kelsey Wright Johnson, who's been with Grind City Media 2-3 seasons now. Third season, going into the third season. Yes, so we got a veteran cast here. We got a day full of events. You're going to hear from players, coaches. We got some of our frontline guys that are going to be right here on this set, continuing our media day coverage. It started with Rise and Grind. Obviously, Taylor Jenkins started the day off. Then Pete Pranica was on that show as well. Right now, it's the Grizzlies live stream. And then following us, you'll have the broadcast team take over in about 15 minutes as we get going. And then you'll have your players, including Ja Morant. I'm looking forward to seeing what Ja Morant, Dylan Brooks, and rookie Zaire Williams has to say on this media day. So let's get right into it. Pete and Kelsey, obviously this is a team that, made the playoffs, had a winning record for the first time in 4 seasons. A lot of enthusiasm going into this season coming out. And you talked about, at the end of the season, how they were looking forward to coming into this season to build on that. Where does this team build coming out of the gate when you talk about coming off of, again, as I said, first playoff appearance in 4 years, first winning record in 4 years, going into Taylor Jenkins year 3?
Well, I think the most important thing for this team is to continue to build on what they had from last season, which was an opportunity to beat some really good teams, go on winning streaks. I mean, this is a Grizzlies team that went into Fiserv form and served notice that they can play with anybody in the league. Have to continue to build on that. Obviously, a few roster changes. I think this team, if you're talking about a next step, Mike, I think it is, can you possibly get to 7 or 8 or maybe even 6? Hyper-competitive Western Conference. Can you avoid the play-in? Is there any opportunity to avoid the play-in? But certainly the Grizzlies are going to, again, be in the conversation for a 7 or an 8 seed, I think, and in the playoff conversation once again.
Kelsey, this is a team, again, even though guys are getting a year older, they're still coming back with one of the youngest rosters in the NBA this season. But the next step of growth is right there. Taylor Jenkins talked about that this morning on Rise and Grind. When he says taking the next incremental step, what does that mean from your vantage point?
Well, I think you said it. I think they're a very, very young team, right, Mike? So when you're a young team, you're building chemistry. And we saw 2009, they get the playoffs, 2019, 2020, they made or play in, then playoffs. So I think the next natural step for this team, once they've built that chemistry and they get the new guys acquainted in here, is to win a playoff series. Now, I don't know if that's this year or if it's next year, but they've made the play-in, they've made the playoffs. The next one is to make it past the first round.
Yeah, we talked about this, and one of those things that with this Grizzlies team that they showed over the course of the first 2 seasons under Taylor Jenkins is that this is a postseason-bound team. Year 1 in the bubble, they ended up playing in the play-in game against Portland. They got that experience from the bubble. Year 2, as we saw last season, it was one of those situations where they ended up in the play-in round game, got a home win over San Antonio, then went on the road to Golden State. Instrumental, big-time win at Golden State, a team that has won championships, and then going in to face the number 1 seed, the Utah Jazz in the playoffs, 5-game playoff series. What are some of the things, Pete, that they can learn from that when you talk about building going into training camp?
Well, I think you can never, ever overestimate what experience you get from playing in those high-pressure games. You go into San Francisco and you play a Golden State team that actually had the Lakers on the ropes before losing the first play-in game, and you get great experience there. And when you think about the way Ja was able to elevate his game in the postseason and also get contributions from guys like Xavier Tillman and Desmond Bane, they were not overawed by the fact they were playing on the road against Golden State with an opportunity to make the playoffs. So you have to recall all that and what it took for you to get to that point. They know how to do it. They know how to win. I mean, it doesn't matter the sport. You have to learn how to win. And I think that this team now knows how to win, and you just take the next step. And this is a Grizzlies franchise that has been very, very good with player development, and that's been a big part of their DNA.
And Kelsey, we still have so much to get to, but I want to close this topic off with your opinion on what did you learn? What was your biggest takeaway from seeing this team sort of gradually walk through those opportunities last year, particularly in the postseason?
I think the coolest thing was to see that the young guys, the guys who, didn't have a preseason, didn't have a summer league, they came in and played those extended and important roles. You mentioned, Pete, Xavier Tillman making that big play at the end to eventually win that play-in game against the Warriors. Desmond Bane, again, a huge guy. We're seeing these guys who had little to no experience coming into the NBA flourish in those big moments like the playoff games.
I mean, the playoff games are here. They already have playoff experience. There's going to be a fresh start to a new season. So what you want to do, if Grizzlies fans, is get your tickets right now. This is a situation where you have a chance to get the biggest games and recognize our biggest names. Guarantee your seats to welcome the Grizzlies legends, Zach Randolph and Tony Allen, as the Memphis celebrates their jersey retirements, and the all-new 10 and 22 game packs. Select either a 10-game Zebo weekend pack or the Grindfather Big Game pack, or upgrade your Grizz experience with a half-season 22-game pack and lock in your tickets to receive and celebrate Zebo December 11th when your Grizzlies host the Houston Rockets, or January 28th when the Grizzlies recognize Tony Allen and battle the Utah Jazz. The packs start as low as $11 per game, so catch this year's best matchups, giveaways, and more today. Call 901-888-HOOP or shop online now at Grizzlies.com. So, Kelsey, I'm going to start with you on this one. As we shift to the next sort of topic discussion here, it appears that this team is going to be healthy going into training camp. Taylor Jenkins said everyone.
Knock on wood, sir.
Yes,
My
everyone is
goodness.
accounted for, right? Everyone is accounted for going into training camp. First practice will be tomorrow. Today's media day. So when you look at where this team is, it's only going to go as far as Ja and Jaren take it. Now, we saw Jaren Jackson Jr. come back late in the season last year, finish up the final month, and go into the playoffs. When you look at the progress that Jaren has to make, where do you see him in terms of growing into this season, and it's such an instrumental season for him?
Jaren.
Yes.
Jaren, again, he was injured last year, right? So we didn't get to see him and Ja, which is kind of the big talk. I think Jaren coming in is going to be so instrumental to this team. We made the playoffs last year, and that was in part without Jaren Jackson Jr. And I think the duo of Jaren and Ja has only played 50-something games since they've been around. So one, I think he has all-star caliber. He has the ability to be that number 1, 2, 3 guy on a team, and I think he hasn't quite gotten there yet because he hasn't had the opportunity to. They call him the unicorn for a reason. He can move like a guard, but he's a 6'11", 7-foot guy who can move, he can defend, he can shoot now, and he's one of those guys who the Grizzlies were missing that three-point shot. Jaren, although he's a big, can take that shot and space the floor for Ja. So I think when he's healthy, it spaces the floor. He's a great defender. He's a great rebounder. They call him a unicorn for a reason. That's what I'm going to go with Jaren. They call him that because he is one of a kind, and so I think getting Jaren back is going to be massive in spacing, in getting in transition, in defending that we just didn't have last year. And they made the playoffs last year.
Right. And he was a luxury coming in at that situation. He was trying to develop as the team was going through the midst of the playoffs. And we'll come back to you for Ja in a second. But, Pete, this is media day, right? So we know what we would like to see from Jaren, but more importantly, what do you want to hear from Jaren Jackson today as he gets started with his training camp?
I want to hear Jaren be very, very assertive and aggressive, that he wants to be really strong on the glass. The question that I have for this basketball team right now is he going to be the starting 5? Or is Steven Adams going to be the starting 5? If Steven Adams is not in the lineup, Jaren's going to have to be that unicorn, Kelsey, that you talked about. He's going to have to score. I would like to see Jaren commit to an inside-out type of game. We know that he can make threes. He has tremendous post moves. He's also going to have to rebound. What I want to hear from Jaren today is, I have worked super hard this season to refine my game, refine my body, and I am going to absolutely positively be the best running mate Ja Morant could ever hope for, because those are the two guys that are going to determine how far this team goes this year.
Great point. What I want to hear from Jaren today is, I'm ready. I'm healthy. Knees are good, wrists are good, shoulders are good, back's good. Everything that I need to be good is good. Not only is it good, it's great. And this is a season where I want to come in and dominate. This is a season where I want to take my game to the next level, not just, compete for most improved player in the league, which he's already gotten league-wide buzz for, but also I want to be almost all NBA. I have a chance to be an all-NBA type player when you talk about where his game has grown to. He's one of the best shooting big men that we've seen in the league. Now he has to add that rebounding element because Jonas Valanciunas is gone. Steven Adams steps in. I'm fine with Jaren being at the 4. at this point because of what Steven Adams can give you, particularly in the screen and roll game. But when you talk about Jaren and what he has to sort of reestablish, it's not about potential anymore. It's about progress, right? So I want to see that from him. Kelsey, Ja. Now, we know year 3 is usually a leap year when it comes to point guards, franchise-type catalysts at point guard. We've seen it with Chris Paul. We've seen it with a lot of other guys. Steph Curry. Those guys went into year 3. It was a different kind of level. Is Ja ready to take that next step even further in his development?
Well, I look at Ja in year 2, and year 2 is usually a year where you can either, have a little slump or you can kind of stay the same. Ja took off, and I think that happened in the first half of the first season. He had great numbers, he had great stats, he was playing well. Then everyone was like, oh, he's got a weakness, let's make him shoot. Once he kind of stabilized that jump shot, got that three-pointer to, a percentage that you want to see a point guard have, it was Ja again in his second year, and I think his numbers went up. He was averaging almost 19 points a game, almost 20 points a game, almost 8 assists per game, and that's what you want to see from Ja. So one, he has the mentality, and we all know his mentality. He has a chip on his shoulder. He wants to be the man on the Grizzlies. He wants to be that number one, and I think this year, it might be a bold prediction of me, but I think it may be his All-Star debut.
I hear you. All-Star debut. It's time. He wants it. It's time. He's got that kind of talent. He called himself top 5. Why not?
And
right?
He's not top 4. Isn't that what he said?
So, Pete, where does Ja stand going into the season?
Well, I'm going to circle back to Jaren for just a second. The upside for Jaren, I want to see him be an all-star potential snub if he doesn't make it. To have him in the all-star conversation would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
I actually talked with T. Morant last night at Mike Miller's charity event, and one of the things...
Whoa. I mean, we just name-dropping like that. That wasn't part of the script, right?
It's media day.
You dropped 2 names, not just 1, just 2.
Hey,
Dust that shoulder off, Petey.
Well, you are so well connected. This is how you get you really quality information. And what T. Morant told me is that Ja worked out at 3 different places, L.A., Vegas, Miami, working on his jump shot, obviously. But the thing that as they looked at tape from last year, they said, we want you to be even more aggressive with your shot because it will open up even more assist opportunities. And we saw, Kelsey, late in the season, his assist numbers started to get up. You don't want him to be too passive. He has tremendous passing ability, but if he can score the basketball out to the three-point line, opposing defenses will have to honor him. That's going to open up the floor for everybody else, and that's really where his focus is coming into this season.
Now, we got a couple more minutes, but, hey, stay with us the entire day. Obviously, the Grizz live stream, Media Day is just getting started. The broadcast team, Pete's already here. BK's in the house. Fish is in the house. They're going to come over and take over after we take this break. But before we go there, I want to get your guys' last thoughts real quick on a newcomer. Why don't you take a newcomer each and talk about how impressed you are with what you've seen so far in the initial stages of it, but what you expect. Who's the biggest impact newcomer? Kelsey.
I go first?
You go first.
Is a newcomer just a rookie?
It could be anyone you want.
Okay. I'm gonna play loose and hard with these rules. I'm gonna go with Desmond Bane. Now, Hear me out.
A red shirt newcomer.
Hear me out. I know that he's not a first-year player with the Grizzlies, but like I said earlier, he didn't have a summer league. He didn't have a training camp. He came straight from college and just kind of was thrown into it. This year, he had an off season. He had time to develop. He had time to kind of grow and learn in this Grizzlies organization, in their, in their schemes and what they want. And we saw such a tremendous leap from him in summer league.
Yeah.
He's known last year, because he's not new, as being a knockdown shooter. He still has that. He's still a great shooter we saw in summer league. But now he's starting to kind of become a ball handler, a playmaker, a distributor. And I like to see that because I think that's going to be a really big help to Ja, playing the 2, being able to pass. And so I think adding that to his game in this first offseason, he's a newcomer to offseason. I'm going to give you that. That's how I'm playing with these rules.
He's
there you
an
go.
Enhanced newcomer.
Yeah.
He's got something new
That's
in
what
his
I'm
game.
going with. I'm excited to see Desmond Bane and the step that he takes forward.
I'm going to go with Jarrett Culver. I mean, Jarrett Culver is a guy who was a number 6 overall pick, never really blossomed in Minnesota, but every time that we played the Minnesota Timberwolves, the first words out of Brevin Knight's mouth were, that Jarrett Culver, man, I love his game. I love his game. I don't know why it did not pan out in Minnesota, but you look at the Minnesota organization, coaching changes, front office changes, ownership changes. I am really hopeful that the change of scenery, change of culture will be very beneficial for Jarrett Culver. Gives you another wing. If he can give you some defense, give you some three-point shooting, again, space the floor. I'm really intrigued. To me, he is a huge question mark for this team, and he can be a great benefit and great X factor depending on what he can do on the floor.
Well, Pete talked about a change of scenery. We're going to go to a quick change of set. Pete's going to be here. He's going to be joined by his broadcast brothers in BK. and Rob Fisher. For Kelsey Wright-Johnson, I'm Michael Wallace. Keep it locked on all of our Grizzlies media coverage on grindcitymedia.com. Keep it locked all day. We got plenty more coming, including our players, on Grizzlies Media Day Live.
WynnBET is live in Tennessee and bringing you the action of real money sports betting right in the palm of your hand. Now you can get in on the action with all of your favorite teams across NBA, NFL, NHL, MLB, MLS, and more. Don't forget to take advantage of the generous promos, great odds, and unique parlays available in Tennessee on the WynnBET app. Head to the App Store to download the WynnBET app and sign up today. First-time bettors will receive a risk-free sports bet of up to $500. Terms and conditions apply for all promotion. Get the details at wynnbet.com. WYNNBET.com. Must be 21 or older and present in Tennessee. Gambling problem? Call the Tennessee Red Line at 1-800-889-9789.
What's up, Grizzlies fans? I'm Megan Triplett, and I have some exciting news to share. We have a new app. That's right. It's a 3-in-1 experience that you don't want to miss out on. Check this out. The app will keep you up to date on all of the Grizzlies stats and latest news. If you're looking to see what events are going on at FedEx Forum, that can all be found on the app as well. Plus, if you want to see more of me and the rest of the Grind City Media team, like Chris Vernon, Lang Whitaker, and Mike Wallace, there's a section for all that. It is 365 days of content to keep you in touch with all things Grizzlies, FedEx Forum, and GCM. And did I mention you can also purchase and manage tickets on the app? The app does it all. Download it now.
Welcome back, everyone. It's grindcitymedia.com, Grizzlies Media Day Live. And the band is back together.
Hey.
Yeah. Rob Fisher, Pete Pranica, Brevin Knight with you. So happy to be with you. So happy to be back. Fellas, great to see you both. And I said to both of you at the end of last season, I think we were all kind of relieved when that season came to an end, but I couldn't wait to get back. And here it is.
I mean, you certainly had a taste of success last year because you win the road play-in game in San Francisco, and then you win game one on the road at Salt Lake City, and you're competitive for a good portion of that series. So now you get Jaren Jackson, and you did all that, and you didn't have Jaren Jackson for maybe like 12 games of the regular season of the playoff series? Right. Well, now you get a healthy Jaren Jackson Jr. back. You do lose Jonas Valanciunas. You have Steven Adams. I'm really intrigued to see what this basketball team can do. Can they take the next step so that they're not a 9 or a 10 seed where you have to win 2 play-in games? Can they go even higher, maybe have to win just 1, or maybe none at all?
Well, I think the one difference for them is that they're not a team that's come back with new pieces that have to get acclimated to what this team likes to do. It's nice that we're talking about coming back with guys like Jaren Jackson Jr. because of injury. He gets to come back. Brandon Clark, a guy that was in and out of the lineup, had some nicks and bruises, get an opportunity to see, can he relive what happened his rookie year and take another step from there. You're talking to our 2 rookies, had a great time last season, but now they had an opportunity to have a summer league to work and be not just one of the guys, but be the guys on an NBA team and what that takes. And so it's intriguing because they come back this season with their same nucleus, and that nucleus continues to get an opportunity to grow together. Yes, they've added some other pieces to help, but for the most part, they'll be relying on the same guys that they've relied on now the last couple of seasons. So it'll be nice to see how this team has grown and matured as a unit.
Us non-former players always like to say the things like, playoff experience, it's invaluable. Well, how do we really know? Brevin, tell us, why is it invaluable?
Well, it's invaluable because the stakes are higher, the game competition is different, the attention to detail and the importance of every possession is there. When you play throughout the regular season, you may lose a game and you can come back and say, well, we got another game tomorrow. It's okay, we can put that one behind us and get ready. When you're in the playoffs, it becomes this is now win or go home situation. And so I think that with having 2 seasons of it, you go back to the bubble with them being able to make it into the play-in situation. There, of course, there were multiple injuries that didn't allow them to advance. But now you go into last season, they're able to beat the Warriors. They make it in. And they're still doing that without a main piece in Jaren Jackson Jr. being able to be himself. And so I think that experience and playing experience is what's the best thing. Not just going there and saying I was on the team but being on the floor and having your play be crucial to the outcome of games. I think that is something that this team will understand. We don't want to be in 9 or 10. We want to get to that position where we already know that we are in, we're ready to play, and then go from there, not having to play the extra games to then get into the playoffs.
Pete, what did you see postseason last year that made you start thinking about this year?
I think Ja's offensive aggressiveness. I think the fact that he looked to score, the fact that he was able to put up big numbers, and not just merely scoring numbers, but also assist numbers as well. This is a guy, and this is why he has the it factor, is that when the lights are brightest, he plays the best. And he certainly did that against Golden State. There were times when he elevated his play to heights that we have never seen before, but hopefully we will see again. That's what gives me a great deal of optimism coming into this season, because now he understands, okay, now I've been in the playoffs. I've put up big numbers in the playoffs. We won a playoff game on the road in one of the loudest buildings in the league, and then, of course, winning the second play-in game at San Francisco, which is a very difficult place in which to play against a team that has hung banners in their building.
Brevin, it's media day, something players love. We love it.
Did you get that eye roll?
Yeah, I did. I saw it on the screen.
You love it.
Yeah. What are they want to get through it, right?
Yes. I want to get through it. I'm only going to be here for a little while. But the good thing is I think they will enjoy it because there will be at least some sense of normalcy to the start of this season, where there hasn't been anything normal in the last 2 seasons for this group. So I think the normalcy of being able to come in, see other people, meet us for the first time, because we got a lot of players on our team that have never even met us to this point. So I think that this will be a different media day, just because you want to start to feel like we're back to business as usual, even though you understand that things aren't totally back to how you would like to be, but it's as close to normal as we'll get at this point.
Pete, who you want to hear from today, and what do you want to hear them talk about?
I really want to hear from Zaire Williams and hear more about how his offseason progressed. We know that he was out in Las Vegas working out before Summer League. We saw some glimmers of promise from him during Summer League. What was the follow-on to Summer League now that he had some opportunity to play against other NBA-level players with NBA-level officiating, NBA rules? What was that experience like, and what did he take from that experience so that when he went back to the laboratory to work on his game further, what did he work on, and what does he look at as just a guy who played 1 year of college basketball?
Brevin, who you want to hear from? What do you want to hear?
I want to hear from Jaren. I want to hear mostly how he's feeling, of course, number one, and then what did he work on with his game. Not so much the health part. Listen, the health part, we understand that's something that he has worked extensively on. But with his game, the mindset coming back, understanding that this team likes to shoot the 3 ball. Yes, they want to get volume 3s, but I felt like he was really good his rookie year because he could do a good job of doing both. So to see, did he work on, of course, shooting the ball from long range, but also that mid-post game or a low-post game also when he's defended by smaller players or defended by guys that aren't as quick as him, the ability to take those guys off the dribble, use his versatility. So I've said it from as soon as the season was over last year to where we are right now. When everyone asked, who do you think will make a difference on this team? And they kept talking about coming in. And I was like, there's one difference maker, I believe, for this year, and it's going to be Jaren Jackson Jr. If he can stay healthy and grow from the player that he was when he was healthy, this team will be a drastically better basketball team.
Certainly looking forward to hearing from him, and his health is going to be a big topic today here at Media Days. And, Pete, I tell people all the time, I think if you went into last season believing that Ja Morant and Jaren Jackson Jr. were the cornerstones of this franchise and that's who you're building around, there's no reason not to have that same feeling today. going into this season, because last year we got cheated of not having Jaren. But this year, I mean, if you felt that way then, I don't think the 10 games he played should change your mind.
No, and I think that's what you really have to be encouraged about, because that duo's played, 50 games together? Now you really have an opportunity that they've had a good quality offseason. Jaren has had a full offseason, and even when he was rehabbing the knee, he spoke at a media availability about what he was able to do with his diet, with his workouts, so while the knee was healing, other things that he was able to do. So it gave him kind of a redshirt year to work on other skills that he can bring to the table. So you match those improved skills, probably a beefed up and bulked up body and a healthy knee, and now he, along with a healthy John Morant, those two guys together, they are going to determine how far this team can go.
Well, here's the other thing is with not a non-player that has as much influence will be Taylor Jenkins, because as much as we talk about the experience that the players were able to garnish, he was able to grab experience also with being able to be in a playing game situation, playoff situations. How do they get themselves ready for playoff games? How does he manage bodies? How does he manage lineups? All of those things, you can talk about it. He could have been around it by being around Greg Popovich, but when it's on your shoulders to go and have to make those decisions, then you learn from mistakes. You bank some things you like, you take those. So I think as much as it's been a positive for the players and them growing, I also think that Taylor Jenkins and for his staff, these last 2 seasons have been huge for them in their growth process.
Yeah, because he had been around playoff situations in Atlanta, in Milwaukee, but as an assistant, this time he was the man in charge.
Yes.
I think another guy I'm looking forward to hearing today at Media Days is Steven Adams, just because it's cool to hear him talk.
You're not going to hear much.
No.
I can tell you that much. If you can get a lot of words out of Steven Adams, then you are really good at your job.
But he always seems to say something funny. I think he's a guy that already, just in short television interviews that he's done and just knowing how he plays, I think he's going to be a guy that Grizzlies fans are going to fall in love with, a guy that Grizzlies fans used to hate, and a guy who Grizzlies fans remember having Zebo suspended in the playoffs against Oklahoma City. But now that he's one of our own, I think he'll become one of our own.
Well, and I think he fits in perfectly because he's a hard-working, blue-collar guy who's going to crash the glass, kind of like a Jonas Valanciunas. Doesn't have the three-point game that Jonas has, but the fact that he is going to work hard, and he's always been that blue-collar, hard-working type of player. I think he fits in perfectly with the ethos of the city, the ethos of this team, and he has had experience of deep playoff runs. And, we talk about it, and Brevin, it doesn't matter what sport we're talking about. Learning how to win is one of the hardest things to do. And so the more guys you can bring into your program who have had that type of success, the better off you're going to be.
And I think he'll be one of those voices that when something needs to be said, he'll say it. And then when he says it, it's going to have major importance to the rest of the guys. He's not going to be a chatterbox. He's not going to be a guy that is going to be a rah-rah guy. But when things aren't going right or they need to be one way, he'll be able to step up and his voice will be heard by all. The other thing, Pete, I think you hit a big point, is that he will be different from Jonas Valanciunas, but he will be the same than Jonas Valanciunas in that he gives a big body rebounding the basketball on both ends. He gives a voice on the back line defensively. He's going to set powerful screens on that offensive end. The one difference is he doesn't have to be an offensive focal point. I thought last season there would be times in the game where they got in between. Was it time to go to Jonas now, or is it time to continue to be more perimeter-oriented? With Steven being on the floor, you don't have to worry about running plays to get him the basketball. He will his plays and the way that he scores will come off of other guys' play. Offensive rebounds, drives to the baskets, drop-offs. So I think just eliminating the thoughts of, are we going to play big now? Are we going to play physical? Are we going to be speed-wise? Now they understand it's going to be speed, but you have a physical presence on the floor with Adams.
Yeah. You don't have to throw the ball to him the way that you might do with Jonas at the elbow. But the fact is, you look at the last 2 or 3 years, those two guys were two of the best offensive rebounders and second-chance scorers in the league. So that is carryover.
And you'll be able to hear from all of these guys coming up on our Media Days coverage. We'll have a couple of interviews for you here at the set. John Morant's going to join us here in a few moments. Also, we'll hear from the rookie, Zaire Williams. The coverage will continue during the Chris Vernon show today as well, so make sure you tune in to Chris Vernon and his show. He'll have Jaren Jackson Jr., he'll have Steven Adams on that program as well. So we'll have Media Days coverage for you here on Grind City Media. Guys, this is a little bit different of a year this year for the Grizzlies than it was last season. Last season, I think the expectations were, see what we can do. Let's try and make a playoff run. Let's try and get in that playoff game. I think this year, when you look at this team, expectations change because now that you've done it, now the expectation is to do it again.
Yeah, the expectation is that you want to get back in the playoffs.
And as Brevin said, even get a better seed.
Get a better seed, do some damage. Look, we know that this franchise has a history of being a lower seed and winning a playoff series. So why not this year? I think that has to be the expectation. But, again, the understanding that 6 seed or higher, that's not going to be easy. But that might as well be your goal because then you don't have to worry about a play-in situation. If you're 7 or 8, then you get a home play-in game and you only have to win 1. That's okay. But I think as long as you continue to see an upward trend with this basketball team, you see Ja take another step, Jaren take another step. And a guy that we haven't talked about, and I'm curious to your thoughts about this, Dillon Brooks.
Yes, sir.
Dillon Brooks made a quantum leap, I thought, on both ends of the floor last year. So now what's the next step in the evolution of Dillon Brooks? Shout out Canada.
Well, listen, definitely shout out Canada because what his evolution is now game situations. What does my team need at this point in time? And it has to be a situation where we can't be talking about fouls again for Dillon this year because we saw last season that he is vitally important, not just on the defensive side. We know that he is the go-to stopper for this Grizzlies team. But on the offensive end, he is one of their most creative scorers on that offensive end. Can shoot the 3-ball. Is as aggressive off the dribble as he is when he's playing defense on the other end. So to have him on the floor for his influence and cross the board for this team will be vital if they're going to be a 6-seed team. And when you talk about expectations and what's your goals, if your goal is to just make it into the playoffs, then you leave room for you to not make it into the playoffs. If your goal is to be a top seed in the Western Conference, and if you fall just a little bit shy of that, well, you're still in the playoffs. And you still feel as though you're a competitive basketball team. So I think this team is going in with, yes, we consider ourselves to be a playoff team, which is a top 6 seed team that doesn't need a play-in situation. So the mindset of the talk should be that is where we would like to be. Top 6 in the Western Conference so that we know exactly that they're going into the playoffs. If they should miss that, well, then now we're still good enough to beat any team that is from 7 to 10. They feel as though that they should be better than.
How about this as a goal? And Brevin and I have had this conversation before about how divisions really don't matter in the NBA. You know, it comes down to the conference, comes down to seeding and those things. But divisions still exist. Why not? Why not say let's go in the division?
Yes.
I mean, San Antonio, Houston, and Dallas. Hey, let's go get Dallas. Let's go get them. I mean, the Grizzlies were second last year in the division.
Right.
Why not make the division title? Something the Grizzlies have never done. Make that a goal.
That is a pretty cool goal. And what about New Orleans and now the news?
New Orleans. How can I forget about New Orleans? I'm sorry.
Well, no, but
forget about them.
I'm glad
that you forgot about them.
Well, I'm glad you did because now the news breaking that Zion Williamson had foot surgery.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, so there is an opportunity there for the Grizzlies to go ahead and win a division title. Why not? I mean, it's good to have those goals, and even though a division title doesn't get you anything in terms of seeding, but if you do win a division, chances are you probably are going to be one of the top 6.
And the other thing with that is understanding that there are other teams in the Western Conference that have gotten better.
Yes.
And but this Grizzlies, again, I say they've gotten better by additions, is what people have said. But you don't know what that chemistry or that camaraderie looks like on the floor. We know what this team looks like on the floor with the players that they presently have. It's just about upping that competitive spirit while they're on the floor together. Individually, everyone coming back a little bit better than they were last season, and those will be the dividends that will be paid if they're able to move up in those spots and move up in the Western Conference. But definitely this team is capable of doing it. The guys that they've brought in can definitely help, but the nucleus and core that is coming back with this team, it's almost like the core four we had with Mike, Mark, Tony, and Zebo. You knew that was going to be the core. Well, this is, again, you know that the core of this team is coming back. They've added some pieces that can help that core, but it's going to be very dependent on those core guys bringing it on a nightly basis.
It's funny when you talk about the moves that were made this offseason for the Grizzlies, there were a lot of them. A lot of moving parts, a lot of different bodies, a lot of guys shipped right back out. It's funny that you say then at the end of it all that as it all has, the dust settles, well, not much really happened. They did trade 2 of their 5 starters.
Yes.
But 2 guys that are replaceable. I mean, one was replaced in the trade, getting Steven Adams. And I think with the progress that we saw from Desmond Bane, what we saw in his rookie season, what we saw during Summer League, I think is encouraging that you feel like he's going to be a guy that's going to step into that 2 spot.
I don't think there's any question what we saw from Desmond Bane in Las Vegas and in Salt Lake City. I mean, he was sensational. The ability to play make, the ability to make three-point shots, played with a tremendous sense of confidence, particularly in Las Vegas, high level of communication with his teammates. It was interesting, Brevin, to watch the Grizzlies play in Las Vegas playing without a true point guard, letting Xavier Tillman or Dez initiate the offense. And they really didn't have a whole lot of drop-off. I know it's Summer League, but still, I really like what Desmond Bane was able to do as a playmaker and as a scorer in Summer League.
Well, and we saw it towards the latter stages of the season last year where they allowed him to play with the ball in his hands more, where he caught the ball on the wing and they ran into a quick side screen and roll. And we saw him be able to make plays, not for himself, but for his teammates. And I think all they did was they just expanded that in the Summer League, where they didn't want to have someone else be the dominant ball handler. They wanted to create that confidence for him with being able, not that he can't handle the ball and make plays for himself off the dribble, but understanding what it looks like against NBA guys or guys that are supposed to have the ability to be able to play in this NBA level. And I thought that he did a good job of not forgetting his own offensive game, but also now just picking up a little nuances of when I come off a screen, do I split the screen? Do I drag it further? Throw it back to the big? Because it becomes decision-making when you play screen and roll basketball. It's not just do you score or do you finish or do you make the penetrating pass, but can you now set up the next play? And I thought that he did a good job in Summer League of getting his, but also understanding how to help someone else be better, which will only help him as we move forward. And it's just nice that he had an opportunity to go and be the man at this NBA level with the Summer League.
And it was his first Summer League, and it'll be his first, full, real, true, normal training camp that he'll be having as well. So it'll be great to see the strides that he makes this season. We've gone this long in the program, and it seems this is kind of a normal thing for any time that we're talking about the Grizzlies. We go this long, and one guy that we failed to mention is Kyle Anderson.
No.
I was just going to say, we haven't had our Pac-12 shout-out. We haven't had our Jersey shout-out. So, yeah, Kyle Anderson. Jersey!
What he did last year was remarkable. What do you look at with this season with Kyle Anderson as far as a next step for Kyle? Or an expectation? Because I think we're at the point now, we trust what he's going to do. So what sort of expectation should we have for Kyle?
Well, I think is that what he did last year, you just wanted to be more this year. And you expect for it to be more this year. And because the thing that he is he's solid in every facet of the game. But now you say, well, we need you to be – tonight they may need him to be the point forward. They may need for him to be a defensive guy. They need what I liked the most was I got an opportunity to see the old Kyle Anderson that I saw play from when he was a youngster to when he went to UCLA. There was no worry about injury when he played the game. He played freely, and so it gave everyone else a chance to see that he's more than just a glue guy. Like, he's a guy that can go out and get points, can get rebounds, can get assists. He's a guy that every day you look down, I think we will be looking at, is he close to another triple-double? And I think the expectation is, yes, that he's going to be the veteran leader for this team, but the stats that he was able to put up last year, I expect for him to shoot the three ball with as much confidence as he did, but also still be as aggressive as he was off the dribble to make things happen for himself and not just be a guy that I'm just making sure that everything fits right. No, the assertiveness is what I would look forward to seeing from him this season.
I would agree with that because you've got in Kyle a veteran guy who has been in a championship situation in San Antonio. And this is one of the younger teams in the NBA. They just even got younger, really. And I think that Kyle's leadership, even though he's not the most vocal guy in the world, I think that Kyle's leadership is going to be very, very valuable for this basketball team, for guys like Santi Aldama, who joins the team off the draft, or for Zaire as well. I mean, those are guys that are joining the program, and now it's incumbent upon Kyle to be a little bit of the OG and say, okay, you're part of this program now. This is how we do things in Memphis.
And I think a big reason why you don't talk about, when you start going down the list of names, why you don't talk, because you already pencil him in for what he's going to do.
Yeah.
You already know that he is a veteran, has been around this game for a long time. He understands, coming from San Antonio, he understands what winning basketball looks like. He comes to this organization. This organization is about winning basketball. So you don't worry about what he's going to bring to the table. And as a coach, that's a nice luxury to have at times, to say, I got a vet that I know exactly what he's going to give us on a nightly basis. We'll worry about making sure that all of these other pieces are correct. But that one over there, I know what he's going to give us. So now let's take this focus. And I think that's why you don't hear as much talk about him, but there will be no one that has as much of an importance to the success of this team as Kyle Anderson.
This team also putting a bench together, and I think it's something that, drafting has been a big part of that. And one of the guys coming off the bench this year, I think that you hope's going to have a big impact is Brandon Clark, coming off what was a fantastic rookie season. And then in year two, there were a lot of ups and downs. In fact, at the end of the season, more downs than there were ups for Brandon Clark. This is a big year for Brandon Clark, and a big rebound year from Brandon Clark. It seemed last year he never really got into a rhythm. He started shooting more threes. He at times was playing the 5 because of injury problems, and with Jaren not being available last year for most of the season, it seemed like Brandon never really got comfortable, and when he's comfortable, he's great.
Yeah, and certainly he was an all-rookie performer in the NBA. What happens with some players, and I think Brandon might have gotten caught up in this, is that when you ask them, what are you working on in the offseason, they say, everything. I'm not sure that is always the best way to approach it. I mean, he has the floater game, the little half hook in the lane, can make threes. You don't want to become too reliant on that. And I don't know if he tried to expand his game in too many ways and then never really got into a flow. We know what he can do when he pairs with Tyus Jones. Get him a lob, get him that dotted line, little push shot in the lane. Those are his strengths. Of course, you want guys to diversify their game so you can't game plan for 1 or 2 moves or shots. But sometimes if you try to expand too much, I'm wondering, and this is just speculation on my part, did he try to do too much and then not get enough accomplished because he tried to do too much?
I think the thing for me is one word: decisive. That's all I want him to be. And that is, if you feel confident with the stepping back, shooting the 3, shoot the 3. If people ask me at the end of his rookie year what I thought he should work on was ball handling, because I feel like he has the agility to get by anyone that defends him. And when he gets to that point on the floor, there's no one that has the athleticism to stop whatever shot he wants to get off. And so I would just like to see him go out and be decisive with his play. Whatever, if it is setting the screen, rolling hard, catching lobs, finishing, if it's shooting a corner 3, taking guys off the dribble, whatever that should be, find a comfort zone for what it will take for him to get back to his rookie year confidence, keep himself healthy, because he was another one of the guys that had the nicks and bruises, and I think that's what slowed him down throughout that season. But he keeps himself healthy and go out and be the player that he knows that he can be, and not try to fulfill what others say you should be doing. Because what he did, if he can expand what he did his rookie year, he's going to play a lot of years in this league. The 3 ball will continue to come along as it does. But he is tailor fit to doing exactly what he did rookie year, which was little mid-range shots, catches at the rim. He was active on the boards. And then he brought in the 3-point shot as he did last year. Let that come along and just support the other things that he does so well.
All right, we're going to take a break here on our Grizzlies Media Day coverage. It's Grizzlies Media Day Live here on Grind City Media. Rob Fisher, Brevin Knight, Pete Pranica with you. We're back with more. We've got some players rolling through as well after this.
WynnBET is live in Tennessee, and bringing you the action of real money sports betting right in the palm of your hands. Now you can get in on the action with all of your favorite teams across NBA, NFL, NHL, MLB, MLS, and more. Don't forget to take advantage of the generous promos, great odds, and unique parlays available in Tennessee on the WynnBET app. Head to the App Store to download the WynnBET app and sign up today. First-time bettors will receive a risk-free sports bet of up to $500. Terms and conditions apply for all promotions. Get the details at wynnbet.com. WYNNBET.com. Must be 21 or older and present in Tennessee. Gambling problem? Call the Tennessee Red Line, 1-800-889-9789.
What's up, Grizzlies fans? I'm Megan Triplett, and I have some exciting news to share. We have a new app. That's right. It's a 3-in-1 experience that you don't want to miss out on. Check this out. The app will keep you up to date on all of the Grizzlies stats and latest news. If you're looking to see what events are going on at FedEx Forum, that can all be found on the app as well. Plus, if you want to see more of me and the rest of the Grind City Media team, like Chris Vernon, Lang Whitaker, and Mike Wallace, there's a section for all that. It is 365 days of content to keep you in touch with all things Grizzlies, FedEx Forum, and GCM. And did I mention you can also purchase and manage tickets on the app? The app does it all. Download it now.
Welcome back, everyone. It's GrindCityMedia.com's Grizzlies Media Day coverage, Grizzlies Media Day Live. We are excited to be with you here from the Floor Seat Lounge. Rob Fisher, Pete Pranica with you. Brevin Knight will be back here in a bit. But it's a pleasure to welcome the Grizzlies rookie, Zaire Williams, to the set. Zaire, thanks for joining us, man. How are you?
I'm good, man. Appreciate you for having me.
We were just talking about you getting acclimated to town, so we have to ask, favorite place to eat yet?
Ooh, man.
Or just trying everything right now?
I've been trying everything. Gus's is right around the corner from my house, so can't go wrong with that. That's the one that comes off the top of my head, but I honestly haven't had one restaurant out here that's been bad, so it's great food for sure.
Good.
Well, now, you had said at your introductory press conference you were on a 5,000-calorie diet.
Mm-hmm.
I said that on a Summer League telecast, and like Twitter went crazy about that.
Right.
So everybody wants to know right now, where's the calorie count? What does your diet look like right now outside of Gus's?
So, yeah, Gus's, that's kind of like a cheat meal.
Okay.
So, yeah, I'm on a meal prep plan, basically eating a full meal every 2 to 3 hours. So it could be salmon and potatoes or, chicken and rice. I have this meal prep company that kind of sends me stuff back home. So basically just eating full meals whenever I'm not hungry. So at first it was tough, but, when you're consistent at it, it kind of gets easier as time goes on.
What are you looking forward to the most with training camp?
Man, just learning, honestly, just, learning from coach, learning from the players. When we've been playing our open gym already, I feel like I've gotten so much better in so many different aspects. So it's been super fun. This is a great group, man. All the guys are so chill, super humble, down to earth. So I'm excited to be a part of this franchise for sure.
I know before you got to Memphis and before you were eligible to play Summer League, you were working out in Vegas.
Yep.
You played Summer League, you had some really cool dunks. Two-part question, how do you feel you played in Vegas, and then what did you learn from Vegas that you worked on coming back to Memphis now?
Got you. Yeah, Vegas was super fun, man. Honestly, it was fun just to get out there and just see what I could do. Coaches gave me no pressure. Every game they told me just go out there, have fun, first and foremost compete and just play hard. So, I learned the pace. The pacing became a little slower for me as the games went on, shot selection, and really spacing. So, after Summer League, I've really been working on catch and shooting, making quick decisions and stuff like that. So I'm excited about the future and what the future has in store for me.
Meanwhile, Ja's trying to distract you
I see him in the corner of my eye.
We're gonna swap him.
All right, here.
Zaire,
Go
great
ahead,
to see you, man.
Yeah, I appreciate
Good
you
to see you,
guys.
Z.
Best of luck. Have a great camp. That's right.
I guess the most important thing was he bringing donuts or whatever is
I would
allowed
think so.
for the vets?
Should.
I'm gonna hold it down, dog.
Ja Morant joining us here on Grizzlies Media
Yes,
Day Live. How are you, man?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I can't complain. Living life.
We were talking about it earlier, Ja. Last year it was such a weird year, a long year, such a grind that when it was over, it was almost kind of a relief. But I couldn't wait for the next season to start. How quickly were you ready to get the next season going?
As soon as the season was over, I'm always, ready to go. Prepare my body, in the off season to, whenever that time comes to be ready. Time here now, so.
Talked to your dad yesterday, and he said that you were working out in Miami, in Vegas, in Los Angeles. That's a lot of working out. What were you focusing on in those 3 camps, those 3 workout areas?
Just trying to, be consistent. I was getting a lot of reps in, with shooting the ball, whether it's spot up, off the dribble, really, and just constantly, working on areas in my game that I felt like, I was good at but can be better. Whether it was, float or, different type of finishes, in the paint. There's a lot, I put a lot of work in, each and every day and, all those areas you name. And, I'm just ready to go and just, ready for the work to pay off.
You said at the end of the year, and your answer kind of mentioned it again. What do you want to work on? Everything. And you seem like the guy that wants to work on everything. As far as the body, where do you want your body to go? What do you do as far as off-season conditioning for yourself?
I just try to stay, game ready. Obviously, gameplay is different, than workouts and stuff. But I just try to stay in, the best shape I can. Whether it's, just going, extra hard in my workouts, doing more than one, a day. I actually gained like 5 pounds, this summer. So I'm trying to, keep going up in, that area. But, but just trying to, be healthy. It's really pretty much I was trying to do. Got to be smart. There's a lot of wear and tear, going in a NBA season. So I couldn't do actually, too much.
You went through the experience of the play-in tournament, winning 2 play-in games, going on the road to Utah, winning a road playoff game. What did you learn from that experience that you can put to use this year? Really that we can compete with the best. I mean, obviously, we beat 3 tough teams. Starting, with the Spurs, then, with Golden State and to the Utah Jazz. And we can compete with the best. We just got to stay locked in and, basically our motto all season, play all 4 quarters.
How excited are you to have Jaren Jackson healthy?
Very excited. He's a special talent. We just got to, continue to get back to, how he was, when we first started. Obviously, injuries kind of, set us back a little bit with, him not on the floor. Now it's, getting used to him. And, with him out there, it's a lot of space and a lot of things, he can do for us on the floor. And I'm hoping, me and him both, stay healthy, throughout the whole season. We just had Zaire here. You've had an opportunity to be around him, work out with him. What do you like about his game? What should Grizzlies fans be looking forward to with him? He's another, special talent. Got a lot of length. He can score the ball, and from all 3 levels. From me, just watching him, in summer league and, actually being around him lately, that's my little bro. So whatever I can do for him, to help him, continue to get better, from what I learned, in my 2 years, I'll be there for him. And whatever I can do to, make his job easier. I'm still studying, all the new guys now, but just learning, where he wants the ball. I know he's more comfortable, with the ball in his hands, but he's also can knock it down, if it's a catch and shoot. So, he'll make my job easier. I know I get, plenty of assists from him.
Before we let you go, how's that baby of yours? How
She's
big?
Good.
How
bad.
big?
2 years old, act like she 9.
Not a baby anymore.
Nah, she's not. But, she's very active now, saying a lot of stuff. Can count, whatever you want her to do, she can do now. So
include working iPad?
That too. TikTok, phone, so she come around you have your phone out. You might as well just forget about it. She's taking it.
That's awesome. Ja, great to see you, man. Have a great camp and look forward to the season getting underway.
Got you.
All right, thanks,
you.
man.
Thanks, Ja.
Ja Morant joining us here on Grizzlies Media Day Live, and it's It's been fun to see him. It looks a little bigger. I love the weight gain numbers that we always get this time of year.
Yeah. Except for announcers, we don't want to talk about those.
No, we don't talk about that for us.
We don't talk about that. All right.
What's going on? How are you, Dylan? Dylan Brooks sitting down with us here on Grizzlies Media.
Shout out Canada.
Shout out Canada. That's right. How you doing, man? How's the off season?
It's been great. Honestly, I've been here in Memphis or Collierville for most of the time during the summer, just working out. I was nursing an injury, so I just decided to be here, just work and get accustomed to Southern living.
Right.
Yeah.
Good.
So what's your favorite part of Southern living now that you've been here on a year-round basis?
The best part of Southern living is just honestly just enjoying the whole day. Just sit back. Sometimes I'd be sitting back in my backyard, just watch the clouds pass by and the trees, whistle and just enjoy for what it is. So, or I guess time off before we start flying here, flying there, flying here, flying there, and can't enjoy just the simple things. So, that's what I enjoy the most.
Last year, about a month before the season ended, you said you couldn't wait for playoff basketball because that suits your game.
Mm-hmm.
You got the experience of playoff basketball. You performed very well. What did you love about it?
Just the atmosphere. Our first game was in Utah. Crowd is par to none. Second to none, and just finally we just got our goal. Being there, just kind of just not with no pressure, just trying to see for what it is and trying to perform when not the biggest stage, but the biggest stage for that round was an amazing feeling and just honestly just made me, a little more hungrier, after the series was over. Just thinking the whole time, even when I'm in Mexico trying to, have a vacation, how can we, get past this hump? We got to the playoffs. How can we, beat Utah or beat, whoever we play in the first round to get to the second round and see how that feels, and then, ultimately just keep growing. And, that's what I do. When I'm sitting back and looking at the clouds and looking at the trees, it's just my mind's just racing about, what next year holds, what my goals are, what my team's goals are, and, where I want to be at. So.
Team goals. You talked about growth. We've seen your maturation. I think you've become a more efficient scorer. You've really identified yourself in this league as someone who has got a real dog when it comes to defending. What's the next step for Dylan Brooks?
Consistency. That's an easy thing to say, but with so much success that you can get, humans and people just tend to be satisfied with that and be cool and just trying to coast your way through it. But with me, I just want to keep it consistent because I know if I keep it consistent, you can only grow from there. So I guess keep defending at the level that I'm defending at, minus a couple fouls. I don't want to be top 5 this year. I'll leave that for Jaren. Just being better with the fouls, trying to keep staying on the floor a little longer, and then like you said, keep growing in my shot efficiency, finishing better at the rim, and then ultimately, trying to be able to create, from the 3-point line, be able to, shoot it better. I think I shot it 34 or 35, maybe lower than that, 33% from the three. Just want to get up to at least 38. So it'll help me with my scoring, help me get downhill, and help me create more for my teammates.
You were around this team when there was a culture of winning, and there was a culture of veteran players. You're now around this team where it's a different culture and it's a different group of guys and a lot of young guys. You're one of the wily veterans now on this team. Do you feel like the culture, because of how you played last season as a unit, is the culture turning into a winning culture? Do you feel it? Do you sense that?
Yeah, for sure. It's just from the very beginning, when, Zach took over as GM, Coach Taylor took over as our coach. We felt that. We were already a young team from then, all new pieces. And we developed a winning culture from then. And then, we just ultimately grew the culture to last year when we made the playoffs. So, I feel like our core values, the guys that we are bringing in are all guys that want to win, regardless of what their role is or, when their opportunity comes. Even from the last guy to our bench, wants to win. And when you have all all that energy combined into one, from the front office to the staff to friggin' us to even the ball boys, you know what I mean? Even to you guys, you know what I mean? So it's just a good energy that, harbors, winning culture and, guys that are willing to, do whatever it takes, for their next compadre to win. So I feel like that's what we built over these 3 years here.
And you had that success last year. Jaren only played a handful of games. Mm-hmm. What more does he add to this group for this year now fully healthy?
He adds so much. He adds, mismatch being the 4, mismatch, if we put him at the 5, mismatch being there. He can pop, he can drive efficiently. And then on top of that, I feel like he was healthy last year. He just didn't have the confidence. And you could see it in the pickup, you could see it in his workouts, you could see it on his, social media. He's confident, he feels great. He can't wait to, dominate, the beginning, of this season. And, he gives us so much different intangibles that, it's going to only spark our offense. The only thing I think of is he going to be willing to, challenge himself on the defensive end, study the game on the defensive end, because the offense can come easy. You've seen it his rookie year, without even knowing what he's doing out there. He's just making plays. So so for him, is it going to be to expand his game? Is he going to watch more film? Is he going to, be able to see where he can score, see where he can pass? Because a lot of guys are going to be, tuned on him because he's one of our biggest pieces on our team. So, and then on top of that, just challenging on defensive end. We're going to be going against great bigs from the beginning, from Anthony Davis to friggin' Joel Embiid. So he's got to be our anchor. But, I can't wait for him to start. He's going to be a big piece for us, and, he's going to dominate.
Dylan, man, great to see you.
Thank you.
Congratulations on a great season last year. Looking forward to getting back at it this year, man.
Yeah, I can't wait to see you guys on the road.
Oh, yeah.
Us too.
Thank you.
Thanks, DB.
Thanks,
you.
Dylan.
All right, Dylan Brooks joining us here at Grizzlies Media Day Live, and I guess we could take these off.
Yeah.
We'll finish with this. It was fun seeing those guys, isn't it?
This is fun, and it's hard to explain to those who don't live our lifestyle that you're trying to tell the stories about these guys. You're trying to relate to our viewers what's going on with the team, and you don't have access to them.
Right.
That's going to change this year. We'll be back to doing our jobs the way we want to be able to do them in the best way possible, and I'm just excited. It's great to see people in person for a change rather than over
close
Zoom.
To them. Yeah, absolutely. It was great. Media Days coverage will continue. If you missed Taylor Jenkins this morning, he was on Rise and Grind. You can check that out. Check out that podcast, and then you can also rewatch all of this at Grind City Media that we've had today, having John Morant and Zaire Williams and Dylan Brooks with us, and then the Chris Vernon Show coming up at noon. He'll have Jaren Jackson Jr. will join him. Steven Adams will join that show as well. So tune in to the Chris Vernon Show. Pete, great to see you as well. Our first preseason game is next week.
Yes.
I can't believe it. So make sure you tune into Bally Sports. Thanks to Brevin for joining us as well. For BK, for Pete, I'm Rob. Thanks for joining us. Keep watching. Stay tuned to Grind City Media.